Welcome to Eco 103, Study Session 3, the Nigerian Agricultural Sector. Introduction. Memory and records indicated that Nigeria was an agricultural country. At least some 3 decades ago, some 90% of the country's teeming population regarded agriculture as a primary occupation, even if the total production of the household was for mere subsistence. Many families, however, had large holdings in cash crops with which income were derived. In this study session, efforts will be exerted to expose you to the contributions of agricultural sector to the economy, as well as various policy measures that have been adopted in the past to revamp the sector. Learning outcome. When you have studied this session, you should be able to highlight the nature of agricultural organizations, production, and other general characteristics. Present the importance of agricultural sector. Point out the problems of agricultural sector. Analyze the past policies of government on agriculture. In Nigeria, the agricultural sector produces a variety of products. These products include the important export crops like palm produce, rubber, groundnut, cocoa, and cotton. However, a large number of food crops are grown mainly for domestic consumption. The Nigerian agricultural sector can be categorized into 1. Subsistence agriculture type, which is characterized by low productivity. 2. Mixed agriculture, which produces for domestic and export markets. 3. Plantation type, which adopts modern techniques of production and caters mainly for the commercial market. Components of the agricultural sector. The following are the components of the agricultural sector in Nigeria. Crop production. This involves the cultivation of different types of crops. Crops are divided into 2 main categories, namely food and cash crops. The food crops are mainly for consumption, and they include corn, rice, yam, cassava, millet, cocoyam, etc. Cash crops can also be called commercial crops, and they include palm oil, groundnut, cocoa, cotton, rubber, and so on. Forestry. This involves the planting, preservation, and maintenance of economic trees or plants. Among the items derived from the preserved trees or plants are roots and herbs, food, electric poles, grazing ground, and so on. Fishing. This deals with the breeding and catching of fishes for human consumption. The riverine people engage in a lot of fishing activities. Despite this, Nigeria is not yet self-sufficient in terms of fish production, as such, still import fish. Livestock. This is the form of agriculture that involves the rearing of domestic animals. The animals reared include goat, poultry, pig, dog, sheep, horses, cows, etc. This form of agriculture is largely practiced in the northern part of Nigeria. Importance of the agricultural sector. As noted earlier in the introductory part of this study, agriculture still remains the mainstay of the Nigerian economy. Its contribution to the economy are in the following ways. A. 70 to 80% of the country's labor force are employed in the agricultural sector. According to Tomori 1987, it is pertinent to note that although the percentage of the population engaged in agriculture has declined over the years, there is no doubt that in absolute terms, the agricultural sector is the primary source of employment in Nigeria. It must be emphasized, however, that there is considerable underemployment in the sector due to the seasonal nature of agricultural activities. In Table 3.1, we observe that in terms of sectoral distribution of our real GDP, the agricultural sector got the highest share within the period of 1960 to 1975. It was beyond this period, precisely in 1976, the industrial sector first exceeded agriculture. No doubt, this was as a result of the little attention given to the sector as soon as the first oil boom took place between 1973 and 1974. We also notice from the table that agriculture rose from 1,599 million in 1960 to 7,639.4 million in 1975 to 6,501.8 million in 1980. By 1985, it returned to its upward moving trend. The sector almost doubled itself in value between the years 2000 and 2005. And for the first time after ranking below the industrial sector in 1980, it assumed a value greater than that of industrial sector precisely in 2002, when it assumed the figure of 190,133.4 thousand million against the industrial sector that had 123,553.5 million. What indeed emerges from the above discussion is that agriculture still remains the backbone of our economy. B. Provision of food for the rising population. C. It also assists through the exportation of principal primary commodities, which will increase Nigeria's foreign exchange earnings and which can be used to finance a variety of developmental projects. D. The growth of the agricultural sector can make a substantial contribution to the total tax revenue, as well as having important implications for intersectoral terms of trade. E. The quest for providing the enabling infrastructure that will enable agriculture to thrive will indirectly stimulate rapid economic development. F. As the economy expands, agriculture has the potentials of releasing labor to the modern sectors of the economy. G. In the areas of capital formation, the savings generated from the agricultural sector can be mobilized for development purposes, while increase in rural income as a result of increasing agricultural activities can further stimulate the industrial sector by creating additional demand for products of the modern sectors. Problems of the agricultural sector. There are several problems confronting agriculture in Nigeria. Here, we shall present these constraints as clearly contained in 2004 needs document. Number 1. The rapid shift of the population from rural to urban areas and the shift in consumption pattern from local to imported food items. 2. The oil boom, policy inconsistency, and the decline in political commitment to agricultural and rural development. 3. Inadequate incentive framework and pervasive distortions in the macroeconomic policies. 4. Absence of a price support mechanism and pervasive distortion in macroeconomy and sectoral policies, including misaligned exchange rates and heavy taxation of agricultural exports. 5. Continued dependence on rain-fed agriculture and the absence of economies of scale. 6. A land tenure system that inhibits the acquisition of land for mechanized farming. 7. Inadequate agricultural extension services and the lack of indigenous agricultural capacity or technologies responsive to local conditions. 8. A degraded environment that has reduced agricultural yields. Past policies of the government towards transforming agriculture. In this activity, we shall collaboratively review the past policies of Federal Government of Nigeria towards transforming agriculture. Study the resource below and respond to the task that follows. Agricultural development process and land use, tenure, and conservation in Nigeria. Agricultural renewable natural resources, animal husbandry, and health. Pages 1 to 16 by F. Okumadewa, V.O. Okoruwa, R.A. Adegboyi. Task. In the results above, some past policies of government were discussed. Some of the discussed policies include: number 1, National Accelerated Food Production Project, 1973. Number 2, Nigerian Agricultural and Cooperative Bank, NACB, 1973. 3, the River Basin Development Authorities, RBDAs, 1973. 4, Operation Feed the Nation. 5, Agricultural Credit Guarantee Scheme. 6, Rural Banking Scheme. 7, Agricultural Commodity Board. 8, Land Use Decrees. 9, the Green Revolution. 10, Agricultural Development Project. 11, the National Agricultural Development Authority. Which of these policies will you ascribe as the most effective? The policy thrust of agriculture in Nigeria: to ensure a higher productivity and the proper modernization of the agricultural sector in Nigeria, needs also provides the following policy thrust. Number 1, provide the right policy environment and large incentives for private investment in the sector. 2, implement a new agricultural and rural development policy aimed at addressing the constraints in the sector. 3, foster effective linkages with industry to achieve maximum value added and processing for export. 4, modernize production, and create an agricultural sector that is responsive to the demands and realities of the Nigerian economy in order to create more agricultural and rural employment opportunities, which will increase the income of farmers and rural dwellers. 5. Reverse the trend in the import of food through a progressive program for agricultural expansion. The government should not relax in its commitment towards reducing the growing food import bills to stem the rising trade imbalance as far as diversifying the foreign exchange earning base. 6. Strive towards food security and a food surplus that could be exported. 7. Invest in improving the quality of the environment in order to increase crop yield. Summary. In this study session, you learned the major agricultural products in Nigeria. We also explored the nature of organization and production in this sector. Lastly, we examined the problems and finally the policy thrust of agriculture in Nigeria. This is the end of study session 3. Thanks for listening.